Do you ever feel like life is a whirlwind, days filled with endless tasks, yet no real progress? It's exhausting, like running on a treadmill, leaving you wondering, is this all there is? Most of us live reactively, chasing urgency and distractions, but the Stoics remind us that life's true measure isn't busyness, it's intention. Habits are the foundation of intentional living, shaping who we become. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The habits we'll explore today are a roadmap, not quick fixes, but tools to align your actions with your values. Whether you're starting fresh or stuck in the grind, these habits can help you reclaim your power, live purposefully, and discover the life you've been searching for. Let's begin. Habit 1. Be proactive. Have you ever noticed how much we blame the world around us when things go wrong? The weather ruins our plans, a rude coworker puts us in a bad mood, or unexpected traffic makes us late, and somehow it feels like the universe is conspiring against us. But here's a question worth pondering. What if the problem isn't out there, but within us? What if, as the Stoics believed, our real power lies not in controlling what happens to us, but in how we respond to it? This idea of reclaiming control over our reactions is at the heart of being proactive. Life will throw curveballs, delays, disappointments, difficult people. But here's the thing. None of these have the power to derail you unless you let them. And that's what being proactive is all about. It's about realizing that while you can't control the events of the world, you are the master of your mind, your emotions, and your actions. Let's break this down with something we all encounter daily: other people's behavior. Imagine you're in line for coffee and someone cuts in front of you. Instantly, your blood starts to boil. You're thinking, who does this person think they are? Now, at this moment, you have a choice. You can let that frustration take over, ruining not just your coffee run, but your whole morning. Or you can pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, this is not worth my peace of mind. That moment of pause is where the magic happens. The Stoics called it the space between stimulus and response, and it's where our power to choose lies. Let's take this a step further. Being proactive isn't just about managing your reactions, it's about taking initiative. Highly effective people don't sit around waiting for life to happen to them. They create opportunities. Think of it like being the captain of a ship. The seas might be rough, but a proactive captain adjusts the sails and keeps moving forward. In contrast, a reactive person simply complains about the weather and lets the waves toss them around. The difference? One focuses on what they can control, while the other fixates on what they can't. So how do you practice being proactive? Start small. The next time something doesn't go your way, a late bus, a snarky comment, an unexpected expense, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? More often than not, the answer is no. Redirect your focus to what you can control. Can you plan your schedule differently? Can you communicate more clearly? Can you shift your mindset to see the challenge as an opportunity? And don't forget to prepare. A proactive life isn't built on winging it. It's built on intentionality. Start your mornings by setting an intention for the day. Think of it as laying the foundation for how you'll respond to whatever comes your way. Reflect on the Stoic idea of the dichotomy of control. Focus on what's within your power, your thoughts, actions, and attitudes, and let go of what isn't. Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Have you ever felt like you're constantly busy, but not really sure if you're doing the right things? Like you're checking off tasks, running errands, and meeting deadlines, but somewhere deep down, you're wondering, what's the point? It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle of life that we forget to step back and ask ourselves, where am I actually going? The Stoics had a word for this: telos, your ultimate purpose, the reason behind the things you do. They believed that without a clear sense of direction, even the busiest person can waste their life chasing the wrong things. This brings us to the idea of beginning with the end in mind. Imagine life as a journey. If you don't know your destination, how will you know which roads to take? It's like setting out on a hike without knowing where the trail ends. You might wander around, see some interesting sights, but you'll never feel the satisfaction of reaching a peak or seeing the view you came for. The same applies to life. Without a clear vision of what you're aiming for, it's easy to spend your days chasing distractions instead of building the life you truly want. When you start with the end in mind, everything changes. Decisions that once felt overwhelming become clearer. Should you take that new job? Should you invest your time in a particular relationship? Should you buy that flashy car? Instead of making choices based on what's popular or easy, you align them with your ultimate vision. And let me tell you, this alignment is where real power lies. Epictetus put it perfectly. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. But how do you figure out what your end looks like? Start by asking yourself some deep questions. What are your core values? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Who are the people you want to grow alongside? These aren't questions you answer in 5 minutes. They take reflection, journaling, and maybe even a few long walks to really sink in. But once you start exploring them, you'll notice a shift. Your priorities will begin to align with your purpose, and your actions will feel more intentional. One of the most powerful tools to help you stay focused on your vision is creating a personal mission statement. Think of it as a compass, a short, clear declaration of what you stand for and where you're headed. It could be as simple as, I live to grow, to serve others, and to find joy in the small moments. Or it could be more detailed, outlining your goals for your career, relationships, and personal growth. The point isn't to write something perfect, it's to create a guide that helps you stay on course when life inevitably throws you off track. Living with the end in mind also helps you say no to things that don't serve your purpose. We're constantly bombarded with opportunities, requests, and distractions. Without a clear vision, it's tempting to say yes to everything, fearing we'll miss out. But when you know what you're working toward, it becomes easier to recognize what's a distraction versus what's essential. As Seneca wisely said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Habit 3. Put first things first. Have you ever felt like your to-do list is running your life? You wake up, glance at all the things you need to do, and immediately feel overwhelmed. So you start tackling the easiest tasks first, just to feel like you're making progress. But by the end of the day, you realize you've been busy, so busy, but you didn't get to the stuff that really matters. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Most of us are living in survival mode, putting out fires and handling whatever feels most urgent. But here's the problem: urgency often crowds out importance. This is where the habit of putting first things first comes in. Think of your life like a jar. The important things, your health, your relationships, your personal growth, are the big rocks. The less critical stuff like emails, errands, and social media is the sand. If you fill your jar with sand first, there's no room for the rocks. But if you put the rocks in first, the sand can fill the gaps. The big rocks need to come first, every single time. The Stoics understood this intuitively. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." So, how do you decide what your big rocks are? Start by identifying your priorities. What are the things that, if you focused on them, would bring the most value to your life? Maybe it's spending quality time with your family, working on a passion project, or taking care of your physical health. Once you know your priorities, the next step is protecting your time like it's sacred, because it is. No one else is going to prioritize your life for you. If you don't make time for what matters, the world will fill your days with distractions. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: distractions. We live in a world that thrives on them. Notifications, endless emails, and the temptation to scroll through social media can eat up hours before you even realize it. The Stoics would see these distractions as a form of proheresis, losing control over your ability to choose wisely. To them, the key was focusing only on what aligns with your higher purpose. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." That means choosing to focus on what you can control, your actions and your time, and letting go of everything else. And here's the thing: putting first things first requires saying no, a lot. No to extra obligations, no to interruptions, no to things that don't align with your priorities. It's not easy, but it's liberating. When you say no to what doesn't matter, you create space for what does. Remember, every yes is a no to something else. Seneca put it perfectly: he who is everywhere is nowhere. Don't forget to schedule downtime. Rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. The Stoics understood this too. They believed in balance and the importance of recharging so you could face life with clarity and strength. As you plan your priorities, make sure to include moments of reflection, relaxation, and renewal. These aren't wasted time. They're what allow you to keep showing up for the things that matter. Habit 4. Think win-win. Let me ask you something. When you approach a negotiation, a disagreement, or even just a casual conversation, what's your mindset? Are you aiming to win at all costs, to get the upper hand? It's tempting, isn't it? After all, we're taught from a young age to compete, to come out on top. But here's the thing: when one person wins and the other loses, what's left behind? Frustration, resentment, and most often, missed opportunities for real connection. The Stoics, with their deep understanding of human nature, knew this approach was flawed. Seneca wrote, "What difference does it make how much you have? What you do not have amounts to much more." The lesson? True success isn't about taking more, it's about creating value for everyone involved. That's where the win-win mindset comes in. It's about shifting the way we think, from competition to collaboration. Instead of focusing on what you can get out of a situation, you ask, how can I create an outcome where everyone feels valued? This isn't just about being nice or avoiding conflict. It's a powerful strategy for building trust, fostering relationships, and achieving results that are sustainable over the long term. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Some people hear win-win and assume it means giving up what you want to make others happy. But that's not what we're talking about. A win-win mindset doesn't mean sacrificing your needs. It means finding solutions that work for both sides. It's about saying, your success doesn't threaten mine. That shift in thinking is incredibly liberating. When you stop viewing others as competitors and start seeing them as partners, opportunities multiply. But let's be real, thinking win-win isn't always easy. Ego gets in the way. We want to prove we're right, to feel like we've won. This is where Stoicism can be a game changer. Epictetus taught, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. A win-win mindset requires humility, the ability to set aside your ego and truly listen to the other person. It's about seeking understanding before seeking agreement, which is easier said than done, but incredibly powerful when practiced. So how do you cultivate this mindset? Start by shifting your perspective. Instead of asking, how can I get what I want? Ask, What's the best outcome for everyone involved? Then, practice empathy. Put yourself in the other person's shoes and try to see the situation from their point of view. What do they want? What do they need? When you approach a conversation with this level of understanding, you'll find it easier to build trust and create solutions that work for both sides. Another key element is communication. Be transparent about your intentions and invite others to do the same. If you're negotiating, for example, be upfront about what you value and ask them to share their priorities. Often you'll find that what matters most to each person isn't in direct conflict. It's just a matter of aligning your goals. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Have you ever been in a conversation where you felt like the other person wasn't really listening? Maybe you were pouring your heart out and they interrupted with advice you didn't ask for, or worse, they turned the conversation back to themselves. It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's the kicker. We've all been that person at some point. We think we're listening, but we're really just waiting for our turn to talk. It's such a common trap that most people don't even realize they're doing it. The Stoics, however, would have seen this as a missed opportunity. They believed that true wisdom begins with understanding others, not imposing your own opinions. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Most of us listen with one goal in mind: to respond. Even when we're quiet, our brains are working overtime to craft the perfect reply, rebuttal, or piece of advice. But that's not real listening. Real listening, what we might call Stoic listening, requires presence. It demands that you set aside your own agenda and focus entirely on the other person. Marcus Aurelius captured this idea perfectly. When someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval. When you're secure in yourself, you don't need to dominate a conversation or prove your point. You can simply listen. Here's where the magic happens. When people feel heard, they naturally open up. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you, not just nodded along, but really made an effort to understand what you were saying. Didn't it feel amazing? That's because being understood is a universal human need. When you meet that need for someone else, you create a safe space for collaboration, growth, and even resolution of conflict. Now, this doesn't mean you should be a passive participant in conversations. Seeking to understand isn't about letting others talk endlessly while you nod politely. It's about engaging with empathy and curiosity. Ask open-ended questions like, "Can you tell me more about how you're feeling?" Or, "What do you think would make this situation better?" These questions show that you value the other person's perspective, and they often lead to insights you wouldn't have uncovered otherwise. Another key aspect of this habit is recognizing nonverbal cues. People communicate far more than words can convey through their tone, body language, and facial expressions. The Stoics often emphasize the importance of observing others with clarity and objectivity, free from judgment. Epictetus might have said, "Do not merely listen to their words, but seek the intention behind them." In today's terms, that means paying attention to what's left unsaid. Does the person seem anxious, defensive, excited? These clues can give you a deeper understanding of their state of mind, allowing you to respond with greater empathy. But what happens after you've truly understood someone? That's when it's your turn to speak, to be understood. And here's the good news. When you've taken the time to listen first, people are far more likely to listen to you in return. Your words carry more weight because they come from a place of mutual respect and understanding. It's not about winning the conversation. It's about reaching a place where both parties feel heard and valued. Habit 6. Build strength through unity. Have you ever noticed how some of the best things in life happen when people come together? Whether it's a brilliant idea born from a team brainstorming session or a family working through challenges to grow closer, there's something powerful about collaboration. But here's the catch. Working with others isn't always easy. Personalities clash, egos get in the way, and sometimes it feels simpler to just do everything yourself. Still, when we isolate ourselves, we miss out on something extraordinary. The Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that humans are inherently social beings, designed to thrive through cooperation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." In other words, when we work together, we all flourish. This idea is the essence of synergy, the principle that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Think of it like baking a cake. Flour, sugar, eggs, and butter on their own are fine, but mix them together and you create something completely different and far more delightful. Synergy works the same way in our relationships, teams, and communities. It's not just about adding our strengths together, it's about creating something new and better through cooperation. But here's the thing, synergy doesn't happen by accident. It requires an open mind and a willingness to embrace differences. And this is where most people struggle. We're naturally drawn to people who think like us, who share our perspectives, and who don't challenge our beliefs. It's comfortable, but it's also limiting. The Stoics would challenge us to step out of this comfort zone. Epictetus taught, "It is impossible to begin to learn that which one thinks one already knows." True synergy begins when we recognize that others' strengths and viewpoints, even when they differ from our own, are opportunities for growth. Of course, synergy requires a certain mindset. First and foremost, it demands humility. You have to be willing to admit that you don't have all the answers and that other people's ideas have value. This can be tough, especially when you're confident in your abilities. But as Seneca wisely observed, there is no one so perfect that they cannot learn from others. Humility opens the door to collaboration, creating space for others to contribute their best. It also requires trust. When you work with others, you're putting part of your success in their hands. This can feel risky, but trust is the foundation of any synergistic relationship. The Stoics understood this, emphasizing the importance of justice, treating others fairly and with respect. When you trust others and show them respect, they're more likely to bring their full selves to the table. And that's when true synergy happens. So how do you foster synergy in your daily life? Start by practicing active listening. When someone shares an idea, resist the urge to judge or dismiss it. Instead, ask questions, explore their perspective, and look for ways their strengths can complement yours. Approach disagreements as opportunities, not obstacles. And most importantly, stay curious. Curiosity keeps you open to new possibilities and helps you see challenges as puzzles to solve together. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw. Have you ever felt like you're running on empty? Maybe you've been working non-stop, juggling responsibilities and pushing yourself to the limit. At first, it feels productive. You're getting things done, meeting deadlines and checking off tasks. But over time, the cracks start to show. You're tired, your focus is slipping, and even the simplest things feel overwhelming. It's as if you're trying to chop down a tree with a dull axe. No matter how much effort you put in, the results just aren't there. The Stoics would see this as a warning sign, a reminder that even the strongest among us need to take care of the tools we use to navigate life, our minds, bodies, and souls. Let's break this down into 4 dimensions, starting with the physical. Your body is the foundation of everything you do, and yet it's often the first thing we neglect. We skip meals, skimp on sleep, and tell ourselves we'll exercise later. But here's the thing, when you take care of your body, you're not just improving your health, you're enhancing your ability to think, work, and connect with others. Regular exercise, nutritious food, and quality sleep aren't luxuries, they're necessities. Even the Stoics, who valued discipline, recognized the importance of physical well-being. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This includes taking care of the body's basic needs so it can support a life of purpose." Next, let's talk about mental renewal. In today's world, our minds are bombarded with information, emails, news, notifications, endless to-do lists. It's no wonder we feel overwhelmed. Sharpening the mental saw means creating space for focus and growth. This could mean reading a book that inspires you, learning a new skill, or simply giving yourself time to think without distractions. The Stoics believed in the power of reflective thought. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, used his journal to clarify his values and work through challenges. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Taking time to reflect sharpens your ability to respond wisely to life's challenges. The emotional dimension is equally important. Life's demands can take a toll on our relationships and emotional well-being if we're not careful. Sharpening this part of the saw means nurturing connections with others and practicing self-compassion. The Stoics emphasized the value of relationships, understanding that humans are social creatures by nature. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude and connection help restore emotional balance, making us more resilient in the face of stress. Finally, there's spiritual renewal, the dimension that ties everything together. For the Stoics, this was about living in alignment with your principles and recognizing your place in the larger order of things. It's not necessarily about religion, but about purpose and meaning. When was the last time you paused to reflect on what truly matters to you? Whether it's through meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply sitting in nature, spiritual renewal gives you the clarity to focus on what's most important. If you found value in this, take a moment to watch one of the suggested videos on your screen. It's the next step in your journey toward a more intentional and meaningful life. Remember, progress, not perfection. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay grounded and keep growing.